a lot of reparations usually starts with, we were wrong. We were wrong. It wasn't just money. But everybody just so fixated on money. It's not just money. It's the system itself. What can we do? It's always taking ownership, then it's what can we do to make this better? What's up, y'all? Let me know how y'all doing in the comments. Hope everybody's doing good, great, grand. If you're new here, my name is Lex Siobhan, whatever you want to call me, or you can just call me the homie. If you've been here, what's up? Recently I did a video on the transatlantic slave trade. Mostly on my shorts, I got a lot of comments, and if you go back to some of my shorts, you'll see that some of those comments are not there anymore because y'all had me messed up. One comment in particular that stuck out to me. I'll start there. I was talking about reparations and how people should have gotten reparations. And they commented about World War, I think it was II, the Holocaust, just different things that happened over time, even like the Japanese. Now, I'm gonna just take the Holocaust and also the Japanese and what happened to them. I'm gonna take those two for right now, just so we can kind of use reference. When it comes to the Japanese Americans, this was in 1988, the year of 1988. The Civil Liberties Act approved $1.25 billion, that's $20,000 per person, for 60,000 surviving Japanese Americans interned during World War II, which means that they were in camps, which I'm gonna do another video on that later, just bear with me. But that they paid out reparations for that. The Holocaust, which we all know about the Holocaust and what happened. Millions of Jewish individuals were snatched out of their homes. They were being mass genocide of these individuals. When it comes to the reparations for the Holocaust survivors, or not even survivors, but just period for the reparations, it said that Germany since 1952 has paid over $90 billion in reparations for Nazi-era crimes to survivors and heirs, negotiated largely by the Claims Conference. And it looks like even up to, I want to say till today, there's still, Germany agreed to $1.4 billion annually in 2024, including $535 million for direct payments and increased funding for home care services. So these people are still being compensated for their, if they're still alive. And I think also their children, their descendants also did get paid as well. The difference between the Holocaust and the Japanese individuals and the individuals of the slave trade, transatlantic slave trade, when they first got out, which would be 1865 of slavery, they never got anything. Yes, the individuals of the Holocaust, they definitely deserve to get compensated because the fuck. And also the individuals in the Japanese internment camps, they definitely deserve something because, like, the hell, like, you know, like, yes, they deserve it. Yes, they deserve reparations because they didn't have to do that to these people. Now, let's go back to what happened as far as what it is that America has done for those individuals when they first got out of slavery. I'm reading nothing. I'm seeing nothing. I'm actually Googled a list. I don't know, some of y'all be like, yeah, she Googling stuff. Like, yeah, because I don't have any other information. Like, I can't call these people and say, hey, what did you get? I can't call my family and say, hey, do you know what my third great generational granddad, or, you know, I can't trace these reparations back because there are none. Ask your family if any of your relatives, any relatives that you know of have heard about your family getting reparations. They're going to tell you no. So yeah, there was a list that I looked up to see if there's any reparations that America did give out to anybody. And it does say Japanese Americans and Native American tribes back in 1980 and again in 2026. The Tuskegee experiment survivors of 1974, they got reparations of $10 million. And if you're unaware of that, that was a government study. The government led this study to see how untreated black men with syphilis how that would affect them. Government led. Yeah, so if you ever wondering like why syphilis spread so much in the South during a certain period, the government. They did that. So instead of giving out reparations, they gave out syphilis. Good job. Forced sterilization victims from 2014 to 2016. This was a state-run eugenics program. State-run. They gave $25,000 to $50,000 per survivor in Carolina and Virginia. North Carolina and also Virginia. Rosewood, Florida survivors, $2.1 million for the victims and their families of the 1923 racial massacre. Chicago police torture survivors in 2025. Evanston, Illinois housing reparations. Georgetown University, we all know Georgetown. They had to apologize and created a fund for descendants of 272 slaves sold by the university in 1838. J.P. Morgan Chase in 2005. I remember this one. They set up a $5 million scholarship fund for black students after apologizing for their ties to slavery. Virginia Theological Seminary in 2021. They set aside $1.7 million for descendants of enslaved people who worked on their campus. This is a school, again, in a seminary, so that's a religious place at that. Like, you would, never mind, I ain't gonna start. Historical payments to slave owners. The District of Columbia Emancipation Act of 1862. The United States, or this is 1862, where this happened. The U.S. government pays slave owners up to $300 per enslaved person upon emancipation, while enslaved individuals received nothing. So what did enslaved individuals at that time get in 1865? Because 3 years before, 1865 is when they left. Or 1865 is when they got emancipated. 1862, so right before they got emancipated, that's when the slave owners got paid. Now, I did look up how much was $300 in today's money, and it said roughly about $9,200 or something like that. Georgetown University owned 272 slaves times $9,200. That is $2,502,400. That's how much they got paid. And it's probably backwards on y'all screen, but it's $2,200,272. So if all things are being equal and they got paid for their slaves being emancipated, they got a $2 million start for their campus. $2.5 million start for their campus. When it comes to reparations, the root word is repair. To know that an individual, in order to move forward with their life and really be a functioning member in society, somebody that can go off on their own and really do things the way that they need and not have to have any kind of assistance, but knowing that you are the problem and knowing that you are the reason why these things have happened, and refusing to make sure that these people can have the things that they need, but never repairing the situation. And not only not ever repairing the situation, but making sure that these are lasting effects. Making sure that there are lasting effects for not only them, but for generations to come. I kind of lost track of where I was, but let's go back to what reparations actually are. I'm going to name a couple of the synonyms. So amends, compensation, restitution, redress, recompense, indemnification, and satisfaction. A lot of reparations usually starts with, we were wrong. We were wrong. This shouldn't have happened. And if we aren't wrong, they were wrong. Something along the lines of taking ownership of who actually was wrong. If you go to a store and you buy something, or if you walk into a store and an employee does you wrong, and you go to the owner and say, hey, this person did me wrong. Usually that situation begins with, I apologize. That is not the ideals of this institution. That is not how we conduct ourselves. I would like to apologize on behalf of that individual. What can we do? It's always taking ownership, then it's what can we do to make this better? If small chains of businesses can do that, why can't America do that? And not only if you're looking at it at a small scale like that, but why is it that so many Americans, period, always want to deflect and go to other situations? I posted a clip of when I was talking about the Irish slave trade very, very briefly. And you had plenty of people saying, well, this person, they did too. That person, they did too. Yeah. And if you are Irish and you feel as though there is a government system that wronged you, you should probably go to them. Instead of getting in black people's comments, deflecting what we're saying, so you can be a part of a Mr. Me Too type of situation. Nobody ever said, and I even said that, and here's the thing about listening, reading, and comprehension. In my video, I said that indentured servitude was wrong. 1. 2, just because you were an indentured servant didn't mean that you didn't have harsh situations that you ended up in, and that it should have never happened. Just sum it up. 2 things. It shouldn't have happened. If you were an indentured servant, you came here to work, and after your time was up, you're supposed to leave. Simple. I already said that there are some people that were treated terribly, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people were killed because not all servants were created equal. 2, if you were in that situation to where it turned from indentured servitude to actual being enslaved by these people, it was wrong, and you should be compensated. Well, I didn't say compensated, but obviously you should be able to get something out of it. Here you got people jumping on my comments telling me they didn't get compensated. This person then you should probably say something. That is why comprehension is very important, because I never said these people were not in a part. You know, like it just doesn't make much sense as to why people just, I get it, but I don't get it. Because like y'all just didn't, y'all were so busy trying to attack and trying to get your point across that you missed the entire point. I said exactly what you said. But we'll move forward. If you are going to repair a situation, repair it in totality. Don't just half-ass it. Don't just do what you think is necessary and just move on from it. Over the years, there has been little efforts. It's been in increments. And even when you look at slavery as a whole, looking at the people that were involved, and I'm going to do a separate video on this, I just wanted to speak briefly about reparations. When you look at what happened for 400 years, that's a lot of time for wealth building. 400 years of wealth building is a very long time. A lot of ground was covered. A lot of people were died. A lot of people were killed. A lot of people were removed from their lands. That's why the indigenous people received reparations, because you killed these people. You took their land. You removed them, and then now you're saying, well, yeah, we'll give you something in return. But you didn't give them as much as you should have given them. And I'll also give you a side note on this. The natives, they had it right. They knew what to do with this land. They knew how to make sure that things were the way that they needed to be. That's why we're having so many food shortages, and why the air is so polluted, and why the water is so polluted. And you call them savages. You call them savages. But the same thing that the natives have been talking about for centuries, that the things that people were coming here and they were doing wrong. Now y'all listening. It's not until the problem ends up in your doorstep, your back door, your front line, that you actually start to pay attention. The natives knew better. They knew better. They said, y'all polluting the water, y'all polluting the air, y'all killing all the animals. Like, what are you doing? And you brushed it off. Oh, they're savages. They don't know any better. They're just running around and they're shooting their bow and arrows. Okay. And now we're all seeing, But I'll jump back to the topic of reparations. If you're going to do something, don't half-ass it. Go all the way with it. These people were built well for 400 years plus, even still to this day. Using people left and right for whatever experiment that they want to use them as. The Tuskegee syphilis experiment, where you took a very large number of black individuals. I want to say it was no less than, I think, 50, just to see how would the human body react to syphilis. And so many people, and not only you had the antidote, like you knew what could cure these people, but you chose not to because you just wanted to see. Because your need to know was more important than the life of another human. So I'm gonna try to wrap this up. Hopefully I said everything that I need to say. That's basically why reparations is important. That's basically why reparations to this day is still important, because even with a lot of these institutions, a lot of these systems, they're racist. They don't benefit everybody. I'm a real estate agent. I talked about this last time. We have to make sure that we are not doing anything that is racially motivated, whether it be renting, helping people buy, helping people sell, the land that people are going to get. We can't do anything like that. We are still talking about these things today, so obviously they're still around. You see them every day. What people are doing with ICE. So many people are dying in ICE custody, and nobody feels the need to say anything. Nobody feels the need to back these people. You say, oh, these people are here illegally. First of all, it's the pot calling the kettle black, ain't it? But aside from that, there's a way to go about things, and allowing these people to die in these concentration camps, let's call them what they are, allowing these people to die in custody. Most of them, which it's a good number that don't even belong in there because they're U.S. citizens. But allowing these people to die in there because you feel like they don't belong here, and you don't feel like that's a problem. In about 10 years, maybe a little bit longer, I don't know, y'all are going to be giving reparations to these people's families because y'all did very wrong by these people. But that's neither here nor anywhere. I'm going to keep this video very short and just strictly keeping it, very short. But hopefully that helps on the reparation side. Also, I did want to point out that the United Nations, when it came to the Transatlantic Slave Trade, they were highlighting the things that I named. It wasn't just money, but everybody just so fixated on money. It's not just money. It's the system itself. If you actually listen instead of just talking so dang on much, you will be able to get the gist of what a person is saying. But y'all talk too much. Start listening. That's y'all's problem. Listen. If you would listen a little bit more than what you talk, you'll be able to comprehend. But anyway, that's all that said. Y'all take care. Y'all be safe. I'm going to, I think in my next video, I'm going to talk about the different systems or the different people, and also the different systems that benefited from the transatlantic slave trade. I got a feeling it's going to be long. I'm going to try to make it short, but I feel like it's going to be long because it's going to be a lot of people. Yeah, but y'all stay tuned. Love y'all.